everybody, welcome back to BK's Bullets. Let's look at what's on ComiXology Unlimited for December 2019. Now, we're going to go over the new December editions over here, but we're also going to go through all the Star Wars stuff that's here because they're promoting it. And as you might see, there's a lot of Star Wars stuff that probably got added here in December. So let's take a look. Alright, here we go. Some cool stuff in here this month. I didn't do any one for November because I felt it was not worthy of a video. But there is some stuff to talk about here. Some stuff worth highlighting. Alright, so first two items you see on here, Star Wars and Batman. So let's look at Star Wars. Volume 1 collection. Jason Aaron, Simone Bianchi, John Cassaday. This is the first 12 issues of the new Marvel Comics series. This is this cover right here. That's Volume 1. So this covers Volume 1 and Volume 2, hence why they're both in ComiXology Unlimited. But hey, look at this. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. How many volumes are here? 10. That's pretty good, man. 12 total volumes. 10 out of 12. That's a really awesome thing that you can read all these new Star Wars comics. So the deal with these is Jason Aaron, Simone Bianchi, John Cassaday does the art on this first arc. And, you can love him or hate him. He traces a lot or light boxes a lot, I think. And his faces are sometimes lackluster. Like, these stormtroopers look a little off. It's not hard to get a stormtrooper right. But he does, I don't think he's as strong as he used to be. But, anyway, who does Volume 2? Let's go through there. But anyway, these are the new Star Wars books. Stuart Immonen, this was a great run. If Stuart Immonen's on art, unfortunately he's retired now, but he had a long career. This is actually Simone Bianchi from this Obi-Wan story here. But Stuart Immonen is a fantastic artist, and he's worth reading anything that's on there. But these are all basically, they take place after New Hope, leading up to Empire, and I think this series ended with number 75, when they got up to when Empire Strikes Back takes place. Then they're going to relaunch the Star Wars comic with Volume 2, or whatever the hell they want to call it, under the Marvel banner, and that will take place between Empire and Jedi. So basically, this is all the new stuff, the new Star Wars comics that have come out since Disney bought Star Wars and took everything that Dark Horse did and shoved it aside and said that doesn't count. This is basically the new in-canon stories that took place between the movies right here. So definitely a good read, definitely worth checking out if you're into Star Wars. Better than the old stuff? That's up to you. Batman Long Halloween, this is an absolute classic. If you're a Batman fan and you have not read this, shame on you. It is a must-read, and it is one of the things that we just had Jim review it on the channel, and I think this is a perfect thing to read right after Batman Year One by Frank Miller. So you can go read this. This is 13 issues. This is a hefty, hefty book if you have it in your hands. 353 pages here. That's going to take you a while to read. It's pretty dense. Very good mystery. What else we got here? John Wick Volume 1. Some John Wick comics by Greg Pak. Let's look at the art here. Not too bad. Not too great, though. I mean, John Wick, I love the movies. I feel like the comics should probably be take it or leave it. I mean, the movies aren't really like, big things to expand upon. You might go into the Continental and the World of Assassins, but it doesn't look like that book is doing that. Over here to the right, we got Judge Dredd Year 1. Matt Smith, Simon Colby, Greg Staples. Let's look at the art here. So this is a Judge Dredd's origin. This might be worth checking out if you're a Judge Dredd fan. 1 through 4. So, pretty short read. Let's scroll over here and see if we can get him in the helmet. These covers are amazing. It looks like a Glenn Fabry cover. I'm not sure. Okay, so there's Dredd right here on the bottom, and Rico, his partner. Not quite judges yet, I think. But that could be interesting. Let's borrow that one. Hit the button. Boom. Download. Heck yes. Alright, now we got more Star Wars, A New Hope, 40th anniversary. So this is an adaptation? Oh no. Cover art retelling the story of A New Hope as illustrated by some of the most gifted artists. So what is this? A period of civil war. So this is cover art from the variant covers that probably reflects different lines of the movies. This would be cool to look at. See, now this I feel like is the perfect 119 pages. Let's borrow that for sure. The perfect thing that ComiXology Unlimited is for. I'm sure this book is a hardcover only and will cost you like $40. This is a perfect thing to look at and read on your iPad or phone and then go, do I really want to get that book? I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons Classics over here, Volume 1. I don't know anything about these, so I have nothing to say about it. Art by Jan Duursema. Connection to Star Wars. She was a long-time Star Wars artist in the 90s and 2000s. So if you know Star Wars Dark Horse books, you know her name. This looks like from the 80s, I guess. Published by IDW right now. Let's keep going. Batman, The Dark Knight, The Master Race. Yeah. I don't know. This book was okay. I read this, so there's a bunch of stuff here on Unlimited that you can read. Issue 1, there's the director's cut with the script, and which is, I guess, has black and white pages. But the entire series itself is like 9 issues long. It's pretty long. It says story by Frank Miller and Brian Azzarello. I feel like it's more Azzarello than it is Frank Miller. But the art is worthwhile in this book. It's drawn by Andy Kubert, who tweaks his style a little bit and has Klaus Janson on inks to look more like Frank Miller from the 80s kind of thing, not Sin City Frank Miller. I have a mini statue of a Batman based off this run, and it is fantastic. But if you know Andy Kubert, you know he's no slouch. So this art is fan-fucking-tastic. A+ from me. So I think it's worth a read. Books of Magic, Book 1. I have not read this. I read the little mini-series. I think I bought it 1 through 4. This collects 1 through 13 of the ongoing series. I guess it came out in the 90s. I wish they had like originally published on here, but you got to borrow it to look at it. But John Ray Niebuhr, Peter Gross on art. It's got the old Vertigo coloring and art style and stuff. I don't know. I didn't really fall in love with the miniseries written by Neil Gaiman, so I'm going to pass on that. All right, here we go. Last Jedi adaptation, written by Gary Whitta, adapted by Gary Whitta anyway. Art by Michael Walsh. So, the art's so-so. I really wish sometimes they'd get better artists on these adaptations because, they're okay. They're not great. Some of the old adaptations you can read are pretty great. So this is 6 issues, and it's pretty much like I don't know if it's a word for word or they try and expand some things, but, I wasn't a big fan of The Last Jedi, so I'll pass on that. Dr. Aphra, Volume 1 by Kieran Gillen. So this is the first 8 issues. Also the Screaming Citadel. And, it collects that whole crossover. So I don't know why that's Volume 1, but it is. So actually, there's a whole lot of Dr. Aphra on Unlimited. 5 volumes on here, which I guess goes all the way to the end of the series. 31 issues. Let's scroll past here. What are we at? Where are we at? No? They had a relaunch somewhere? 23. Sometimes ComiXology gets mixed up. 38. So almost all the volumes on ComiXology Unlimited. So if you like this character, she's like a side character that Vader hires and says to, take these droids on. Go look for them. Joe the Barbarian. I want to borrow this for sure. Sean Gordon Murphy, Grant Morrison. So it's either crazy or crazy good. But with Sean Gordon Murphy on art, it might actually be crazy good. Big fan of his from The White Knight and Curse of the White Knight. And also read on here, what was it? The Punk Rock Jesus written and drawn by Sean Gordon Murphy. That was really interesting. Powerpuff Girls, Volume 1. Fables, 1001 Nights of Snowfall. I have this graphic novel. It's pretty interesting. Snow White is like the actual person from the Fables, from that, 1001 Nights, Arabian Nights kind of thing. And she's spinning these tales to the Sultan in kind of in continuity. So, it's a cool little thing. It is beautiful, though. Beautiful. It does not have the artist on here. What the heck? I think because there are a bunch of artists on here. Let's look at this if you can read it. Ace Sal Andrews, Brian Boland. I don't remember that. Mark Buckingham, he's the regular Fables artist. James Jean, who was doing the Fable covers for a long time. Jill Thompson, Charles Vess, Mark Wheatley. We looked at his stuff earlier. So no slashes on there. That's a standalone thing, so you could read that by itself and then see if you want to break into Fables. But let's go and show you the value of ComiXology Unlimited. How many? Scroll over here to the left here if it loads. Load! How many volumes of Fables are on here? I wonder. So many. Jeez Louise. Okay, we'll just do this. Hit the button. Okay, only 2 volumes. That's pretty sad. But, you know, it'll get you started. Fables is a worthwhile read. I haven't read the whole thing. I've read up to volume 10, I believe. And there's like 25 different ones before the story ended. So, all right, more Star Wars stuff. Open Seasons. This is something from 2002. Art by Ramon Box. Recognize him from Frontline for Marvel Comics. This must be before he came over to Marvel. And then he did some stuff on Azrael for DC. So this is anything that you see with the Legends line that's published by Marvel means it's old Dark Horse material that is now shoved to the side and no longer valid in terms of canon. Betty Boop over here on the left, Grendel Omnibus, Grindhouse, I don't know. James Bond comics, L.S. Cott, he's an interesting writer. Here's some of the art. Not bad. If you're really a James Bond guy, that might be a little interesting. 146 pages, so probably a quick read. 3 or 4 books collected in there. Johnny Boo, solo adaptation, another adaptation. Phil Noto does the art? Oh no, only the covers. Will Sliney does the art. That's a pretty good artist. That's much better than the Last Jedi artist, I think. Just my opinion. Take it or leave it. Star Wars A New Hope. This is the manga stuff from Japan. So like a manga adaptation. Oh, wow. Look at that. That is a beautiful dynamic spread. It is flipped. I believe it's flipped, though. Looks that way. By this first page, how it goes top to bottom and then left to right, I think. So normally when you read manga, you read from right to left, not left to right. And then sometimes on the digital stuff, they'll flip it. Sometimes they won't. It's kind of confusing. Marvel or Dark Horse flipped it. I think that was published a little while ago. So it's got all 3 movies. Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. So, and it's in English. So if you want to read a manga adaptation with this gorgeous, oh my gosh, look at this art. I mean, if it's traced or whatever, who the hell cares? Look at all the detail in the Star Destroyers. Good grief. Somebody took the time to do all that. Wow. Star Wars, Jabba the Hutt, Art of the Deal. Is this if Jabba the Hutt was the American president right now? It's probably a play on the words of that old book, but apparently not. But he actually speaks in words you can understand. He does not just say, Banza Puda. 104 pages. So, check that out. Phantom Menace in Japanese manga adaptation. Here's another one. Wow, that's beautiful. All right, more Star Wars. Let's skip some of the Star Wars stuff. Look at all the new Star Wars stuff that's on here. I do want to call out Star Wars Legacy, Volume 1 and Volume 2, and Volume 3. This is basically like the entire series before they rebooted it. All 50 issues, basically, of Legacy, which at the time was billed from Dark Horse as taking place 100 years after Return of the Jedi. So it was a new Skywalker. He didn't know he was a Jedi, or the Jedi are burnt out, kind of thing. Just like flung the story into space so they would have room to do whatever they wanted with it. So more Star Wars stuff. We'll skip that because we're going to go there in a section. Here's the Books of Magic. the one I was talking about, 1 through 4. Art is beautiful, but just the characters and all the different worlds and stuff. I was kind of reading Sandman at the time, and I wasn't really like getting into it, so it wasn't for me. But if you like Sandman, worth checking out. Barbed Wire, if you want to check that out. Remember the Pam Anderson movie? So here's all the single issues of the stuff we just looked at. And I always say it, and we're always going to do it, because you got to scroll through here, because there's hidden stuff in here. Always hidden stuff in here. Lando. We didn't look at a Lando collection, but he's here. This is a original story. I don't know why this wasn't on there. Maybe we skipped it. 5 issues. Star Wars, Star Wars, Star Wars. Should we just skip to Star Wars? I think we should. It looks like there's not that much hidden stuff in here. So, all right. What is all the Star Wars you can read on ComiXology? Let's look at it. Oh my gosh. So many. So, what's new? 118 books. A lot of them are single issues, so don't get that excited. But Star Wars Darth Vader. This, if you read one Star Wars book from the Marvel era, you definitely read the ones by Kieran Gillen. They are fantastic stories. It's him. Basically, it's taking place at the same time as that other Star Wars book, but Vader is a pure badass. And the art is by one of my favorite artists, Salvador La Roca. He did the Iron Man run with Matt Fraction, which I loved. But this is basically taking place between New Hope and Empire. So Volume 2 is also on here. It goes through issue 25. And then here's 1. Boop. So Endgame, the last volume, actually goes through 25. So the whole series is here to read with your $5 a month membership. Journey to Rise of Force Awakens, 1 and 2 are on here. Or Rise of Skywalker. That's pretty cool. Star Wars TIE Fighter on here if you want to read a story about TIE Fighters. There you go. Just look at the art. It's very colorful. A lot of different from the manga adaptation we were reading. I remember that video game being really awesome. I played on my PC. Star Wars, Obi-Wan and Anakin. We skipped over this before because I was going to cover it here. Marco Cicchetto. You got to see this guy. Let me go scroll over. Weird that the single issues are not on here for free, but Marco Cicchetto is a superstar artist, in my opinion. He is astonishingly good, dramatic, vibrant, exciting. Deserves all the accolades you want to heap upon him. Beautiful, beautiful art. And he's usually really consistent. And I think typically pretty fast, unless he knows how to get lead times correct for his books. Star Wars Canon, The Last Padawan is here. Volume 1 and 2. Pepe Larraz, who's now on X-Men. He's a great artist. I don't know who the writer is here. Hey, wait a minute. That person looks familiar. In the left hand there, isn't she coming in Rise of Skywalker? Or no? Greg Weisman. I think he worked on the TV show. So, interesting. I have not seen Rebels yet, but it's on the list. So maybe I should borrow those to keep them in the library for when I do watch it. Star Wars Legacy 1 through 3. I've already borrowed them. Force Unleashed. I don't know if these are... Actually, I don't know if these are like adaptations of the books or of the games, or if it's different stories. Huh. 1 and 2. The end of the story. Interesting. I love these games. I thought they were so cool. Underrated. But they are backwards compatible on Xbox. There. Django. Here's the anime stuff. We covered that. Han Solo, Imperial Cadet. Issues 1 through 5. Lando. We covered that. Legacy. Poe Dameron. TIE Fighter. Alright. So, you want to see the old stuff. Okay, so this is the 10 volumes of the new Star Wars comic we talked about Vader. This is like volume 2, basically. 1 through 25 of Darth Vader happened. Kieran Gillen got off the book, and now we have Charles Soule writing Vader. So that's what these are, 1 through 12. And so, yeah. So basically, you get the first 12 issues here. These actually take place, I've read these. They feel like they take place, yes, before New Hope. So right after Episode 3. So they're not in continuity with the main Star Wars book, which is nice. More recent Star Wars collections. Star Wars Darth Maul is here. 1 through 5. Cullen Bunn and Luke Ross. This is a Marvel one. This is not a old Dark Horse book. I think anything without the Legends tag, is fairly new. Like within the last 5 years. So Legends. So let's look at these. 39 books highlighted here. Star Wars The Thrawn Trilogy. Star Wars Dark Empire Trilogy. I own both of these. I have not read them yet. They came out in the 90s. These are adaptations of novels and books. The art here is a little weird. I don't like the coloring. But I will get around to it. So anyway, Dark Empire, I think, is the first one that you're supposed to read. 1991. This might actually be the first Star Wars Dark Horse comic, I think, was these couple miniseries. Dark Empire 1, 2, and 3 here. And this was like the first, I think, book also that kind of kickstarted the expanded universe at the time. So, pretty thick, 385 pages. So you're supposed to read this first, I think, and then jump into the Thrawn Trilogy, which is Heir to the Empire, Dark Force Rising, and Last Command. So then you scroll over, and then here's Heir to the Empire. It's in one of those other collections, so don't worry about it. And then here's all this other stuff. Rogue Squadron, Omnibus, 1 through 3, 300 pages. So that's 1,000 pages, basically, of X-Wing stories. Rogue Squadron. Art's pretty good. That's a B-Wing right there. It's not an X-Wing. What the heck, man? Anyway, Darth Maul, son of Dathomir. Doesn't have a Legends tag, so it's valid. Valid now. Jeremy Barlow. Crimson Empire Saga. I borrowed this already. I haven't read it, but I'm interested. It's about those guys in the red robes, I think. Darth Vader and the Ghost Prison. W.H. Hayden Blackman. Or W. Hayden Blackman. Yeah. He writes a lot of this stuff, seems like. Classic Star Wars. I think this is the old 70s Marvel stuff. I could be wrong. Please don't shoot me. But with Archie Goodwin and Al Williamson attached, that's pretty much what I think it is. Star Wars, classic Star Wars 15. That's my stomach. Yeah, lots of Star Wars here. Wild Space, Omnibus, Legacy we talked about. Force Unleashed. Star Wars Legends Epic Collection, The Empire. Star Wars Purge, Seconds to Die. Lots of Star Wars Purge stuff. Interesting. This is the classic Star Wars stuff that I was talking about. This is the original Marvel comic that came out. And drawn by Howard Chaykin, written by Roy Thomas. That, all this is kind of like really wacky shit. But this came out in 1977. This stuff here. A long time ago. Volume 1, 2, 3. Only a little bits here. That's a bummer. At War with the Empire. It's more recent. Keep going. Boba Fett. Jango Fett. Dark Times. Talked about all that. So, lots of Star Wars stuff to look at here on ComiXology. Celebrate the end of the saga. Rise of Skywalker comes out in a couple weeks, so there you go. Anyways, thank you guys for watching, and we will see you hopefully next month with more good picks here on ComiXology.